Hey folks, welcome back to Be Woke Vote, presents Roland Martin Unfiltered, live from Jackson, Mississippi. We are here, of course, covering the Mississippi United States Senate race, the runoff election between Mike Espy and incumbent Republican Cindy Hyde-Smith. And so in a bit, there's going to be a prayer rally here. Ministers from all over Mississippi will be here in this ballroom downtown Jackson for this rally for Mike Espy. Big debate tonight taking place in the city between the two candidates. And of course, the election is Tuesday, November 27th, so it is exactly 1 week away. And of course, you can also vote early by absentee ballot, through November 24th. So right now, though, I want to have a conversation with a native of Mississippi. You've seen her my previous shows, of course, on TV1's News One Now, talking about a variety of issues, including the racist state flag here in Mississippi. You've also, of course, seen her in movies, on television, Undercover Brother. You, of course, also see, of course, her. She's in Ava DuVernay's new film, Central Park 5, and of course, the show that's on ABC, Kiefer Sutherland, who's playing the president. She plays the vice president. And so they figure if you're going to play somebody in politics, you might as well know something about politics. What's the name of that show?
Designated Survivor.
Yeah, Designated Survivor. That's what it is. Okay, I know what it is, y'all. I actually watched the show. I've seen the show since it came on.
He knows more than I do.
What? Absolutely. So now, it used to be on ABC, so now you can catch it on Netflix. And so glad to have Anjanou Ellis here. What's happening?
What's going on?
Chilling.
Thank you for coming to Mississippi.
Not a problem.
Thank
Not a problem.
you.
So y'all, first of all, so I get this text message from Anjanou. Hey, Roland, man, it'd be great if you can come to Mississippi. And I'm like, I'm already here. She's like, really? I'm like, yes, already here.
Right.
And so then I said, look, let's get together for a conversation. She drove up from, is it Macomb? Macomb? How do you pronounce it? Macomb.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal, y'all. Why is everything about an hour from Jackson? I'm serious. So yesterday we were talking, and somebody said, so Henry goes, he said, where's Mississippi Valley State? Alice goes, about an hour. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, okay, where's it? It's about an hour. And I was like, okay, is everything about an hour from Jackson?
Pretty much. That's why it's called Central Mississippi, because it's central.
Right, just about an hour.
Yeah.
You know, about hour 5.
Yeah.
Hour 10.
Hour 30.
You know, hour, about it. Yes, everything.
Hour 45.
So let me also help y'all out. So we were supposed to go to Macomb, do the interview. Then Anjanou said, I said, look, this is what I said to her. Hey, There's going to be a prayer rally at 11 a.m. here in Jackson. Why don't you just come and do the interview here? Oh, that's great. I'll see you there about 9. Okay, so y'all, so we got in here about 7, set all up. All right, so we sitting here. I'm interviewing the mayor of Jackson, and Anjanu's like, man, they're going to have to hurry up because they going to kick him out of here. He going to have to hurry up and do these interviews. Now, first of all, y'all, as y'all see, they're setting this joint up for a luncheon. So then all of a sudden, the sign, you see the sign back there? The sign goes up. Anjanu goes, they have something here for Mike. I said, Anjanu, that was the whole point. She's like, man, I thought they were going to kick you out of here.
I was worried.
Yeah.
I was worried.
The rally is here for Mike Espy.
I see.
You see now?
I see now. I'm with you now. I'm with you now. I'm used to being in the streets.
Y'all don't understand.
In the streets.
Y'all don't understand. This how it's
rallies in the streets.
She went, there have something here for Mike.
I ain't know. I didn't know. I ain't know.
Didn't know?
Didn't know.
So glad to have you here. So let's talk a little politics. First and foremost, your thoughts on this Senate race. You've got Miss Public Hanging, Miss Joke about voter suppression. Now Walmart donated some money to her campaign. So they announced today that they want their money back as a result of her public hanging comment. And so that news just dropped about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, that's good. That's something. That's something. I think all her donors should drop out. Every last one of them. I think that corporate consciousness is a move in the right direction, and I think that should spread to private citizens, frankly.
When you look at this race, when you look at we're talking to the mayor, Chokwe Lumumba, and he said that Cindy Hosman, she's running these commercials showing her, picking hay, like I understand, a farmer. He said, but ain't no policy in there. Mm-hmm. Howard Dean said years ago, 2004, the Republicans, what they do is when they target voters, they focus on God gave guns. We saw what happened in Alabama, where you had folks who were even pastors, preachers, excusing Roy Moore, the allegations against him, saying, yeah, but I'd rather take that over somebody, who's a Democrat. And you just sit there and you go, what Bible y'all reading from? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting to me, again, folks talk about morality, talk about things along those lines, and push it, and they push those particular buttons. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that there's a myopic view about what morality is. I think that people sort of diminish morality into these, ideas of, gays and guns. And there's not this idea that morality is actually being humane. And I think that's what's missing in this whole element about what God is in places like Mississippi, in places like the South, and who God is, because they have a particular perception of who God is, and God is white, and God is male, and anything that falls out of that characterization of what God is sort of fails or gets left on the wayside.
Why did you decide to get so involved on the political side? I mean, there are people out there who are in entertainment who they get donations, they might show up here, but especially when it came to the Confederate flag, the state flag. I mean, you went hard. I mean, look, rally outside the U.S. Capitol. We had the previous conversations. Why did you? What was that moment where you said, "There's no way I can be silent"?
Well, that's a moral issue for me. That's what morality is for me, and I know what that flag is. I know what the power of that flag is, not what it stands for, but what it does, and it gives license to murderers to murder. That's what Dylan Roof used it as. He used it as an instruction to go into Emmanuel Church in South Carolina and kill those 9 people who were having prayer meeting. And I recognize the danger of that, and that's immoral to me. And Phil Bryant, who is the governor of the state of Mississippi, is a dues-paying member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. He was awarded the Pettus Award recently for designating April as Confederate History Month since he's been in office. So in my mind, that is a lack of morality. And I cannot sit back knowing that my grandfather was arrested for bombing his own church by police officers in Macomb, Mississippi, because he allowed freedom riders to meet at his church. For me to sit back knowing that history and not say anything and be silent in that is immoral, is my immorality.
And when we think about that history, we think about the history here. I had a brother on my show, let me pull up his name, Republican, conservative, and he said that Malik Abdul, and he said that for him, he wasn't bothered by the flag. And I had other Republicans like, dude, how are you not bothered by that flag? And his whole deal is, yeah, fine, I grew up there, but not bothered by it. And last time we talked, I mean, you had to walk people through to get them to understand what the world is like in this state for a black kid growing up. Not just that flag, but also we saw it with the opening of the museum, where you have 2 museums.
Yes. 2 separate but equal.
As opposed as if you couldn't actually have one.
Yeah, separate but equal.
You literally have one museum on the state of Mississippi,
yes,
and the other one on is it civil rights?
Mississippi history.
Right. So
yes,
it's like there literally are 2 separate historical museums in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Essentially, one for the black people, one for the black stuff, and then one for the white folks.
Yeah. I mean that the separate museum, the Mississippi History Museum, was a concession. They wouldn't have been able to do that Civil Rights Museum unless that other museum existed. That's the reality of living in Mississippi.
So the initial plan was to have the Civil Rights Museum.
Yeah.
That was the initial one.
That was the initial plan.
And then there was no. We ain't gonna have that be that story be the only one told.
There's no way that you had to, if you're going to do condemnation, and you cannot do the story of Mississippi and not engage in condemnation. You have to engage in hagiography as well. So you needed to have that concession of this other history in order to tell the truth. And it's not, for them, it's narratives. For us, it's the truth. Mm-hmm. And even in the museum, even in the Civil Rights Museum now, that there's still a suppression of the truth, because there's no discussion, no representation of that flag at all. You won't find it anywhere on the museum campus. And why is that? Why won't they show it? And I know for a fact that even the historical archives of Mississippi, when everybody was coming down here to see that museum, they hid that flag. Days before, that flag was flying on that pole. But when they knew the president and everybody else was going to come and they were going to have cameras all over the place, they took that flag down. They know that it's an embarrassment. They know that it's immoral, but they hold on to it.
So, with that, and you have this campaign going on, and you have a black man, Mike Espy, former agricultural secretary, former member of Congress, running against Cindy Hyde-Smith, former Democrat, switched to Republican. When you hear black folks say, I don't care, he has no shot, it can't happen, it's a waste of time, how do you respond to that? Because I've actually heard that. Folks have actually said to me, it's like, he has no shot. It's a waste. He can't win.
So in the face of that, you resort to acceptance? That's what you do? I mean, that's your strategy, is acceptance? I mean, what if Fannie Lou Hamer accepted her life as a sharecropper in Mississippi? The Democratic Party would not be what it is today if she did that. If we chose the route of acceptance, where would we be? I mean, I hear this all the time because I get very frustrated in the battles that I choose to fight, because I feel like it's just me and a couple other people that's doing it. And folks tell me all the time, you know, Ingenue, a lot of times in these movements, it was just a couple of people.
Yes.
Who were willing to show up with 2 or 3 touch and agree. You know, that's what essentially made a movement, because there was just a couple folks ready. Now, folks came out for the cameras, came out to be in the street because it was sexy. But the folks that were like really doing the work, it wasn't a whole lot of people doing that.
Well, the Bible does say the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.
The laborers are few. The laborers are few. So I mean, and also I get that. I have a lot of empathy for that, because if you grow up here, and Mississippi is a culture of low expectations, not just for black folks, for everybody. It's a culture of low expectations. So if I grew up here, and one of the first things that we did before we got out of school, instead of we didn't even know about what the SAT was. We didn't know what the ACT was. I had the vocational counselor happened to be a black man, and we were down there talking to him one day about what, I have no idea. And he said to me and Veronica Stanberry, he said, "Have you guys taken the ACT yet? Have you guys taken the SAT?" And we were in the 11th grade, and we said, "What's that? What is that?" But I tell you what we had taken. We had taken the ASVAB, and the ASVAB is the admission test for the military. So we were good enough to put our lives on the line, but not good enough to go to college, right? So a man intervened in that to show us that we had another path. If I had stayed on this path of what was Mississippi intended for me, I would not be sitting here talking to you right now. There's no way in the world. But I had to have these interventions that came in all these different sort of directions, because this is a culture of low expectations. And all those things, these symbols, these signs, these instructions that are here, that are everywhere. Everywhere you see a Cindy Hyde Smith sign, you see a Confederate flag. And I'm very clear that Confederate flag, it is the Confederate flag, but it is the flag of the Ku Klux Klan. Because the Confederacy ended essentially in 1865, at the end of the Civil War. What took over?
And that flag was furled, and it was stored.
Yes.
And it disappeared for 2 generations. For folks who don't understand the history, when the Democratic Party under Truman decided to have a strong position on civil rights, that was a meeting, that was a conference, where that flag returned, and it was held in this state.
Yes.
The Southern Manifesto was written, and that meeting was held in this state in 1948, where that flag reappeared. It had been gone for 2 generations. And so when I hear all these people who talk about, well, no, there's no association with the Confederate flag and race, no.
Yeah.
It was a direct appeal. Southern Manifesto, the Democratic Party on the issue of civil rights, and then of course Brown versus Board of Education, then of course all of these schools being named after Confederate leaders. That stuff happened after Brown versus Board of Education. It was all deliberate.
Yeah, it was absolutely deliberate, and that contributes to a culture. And that culture contributes to how people see themselves. And that how people see themselves is when they surrender and when they accept that that guy has no chance because, you know, he's running against a white woman. So, you know, why should he even try?
And here's what's interesting. So Tammy Kennedy, she just tweeted, Democrats know the history of the Confederate flag. This guy Charles Miller calls it a Democratic manifesto. But see, here's what these same folks, and this is the little game Dinesh D'Souza plays. So what they try to do, they try to say, oh, those were Democrats. Okay, for all y'all listening, and let me also help y'all out, there was a movement called the Lily White Movement. And the Lily White Movement is where you had racists in the Republican Party who then said, we can align with racist Southern Democrats to create this movement. Who was one of the leaders of the Lily White Movement? Herbert Hoover, who became president. 1928, a Republican. So, I love it when they try to act as if the issue of white supremacy was a Democratic thing, when the issue of white supremacy in America was a white thing. It was both parties.
Yeah, absolutely both parties. Absolutely both parties. I'm not interested in. I have no political interest in that whatsoever. I have an interest in what's right and what's wrong. I mean, the reason that I said this, the reason why the Democratic Party is what it is today is because of what Fannie Lou Hamer, a Mississippian, did in 1964.
1964, going to Atlantic City,
Yes.
Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party,
Yes.
Where they forced the change there. And the thing, but here's also the thing about that. When you think about 64, which is also goes to why I keep using the phrase "fund our freedom" when it comes to what I'm trying to do with this digital show.
Yeah.
What a lot of folks don't realize is 64, Dr. King testifies on behalf of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. LBJ was bugging the phones in the hotel rooms of all of those leaders. When they were gaining attention, first of all, when she was testifying, LBJ came out. He didn't want that to be
Cut the cameras off. Cut the cameras off.
He had this fake announcement in D.C. about who he might appoint as his vice president. Okay, it was a waste of time. But he leaned on the labor leader to lean on Dr. King to accept that compromise and said, we will pull, it was Walter, I'm pulling a number in a second, I think it was the labor leader, told Dr. King, we will pull all funding for your organization if you do not convince them to accept the compromise, which is also wide to black folks. And again, we held up Dr. King, and rightfully so, but he had to accept that compromise.
Yes, he did.
Or those dollars were going to get pulled. And Fannie Lou Hamer and those folks in Mississippi were mad as hell when they came in. Dr. King and Bayard Rustin came in and said, accept this compromise.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what this woman did.
That's what happened to you, black, and you know how to read.
He said that. I said, it's incredible about what Fannie Lou Hamer did, and I'm trying to write a movie about her right now because I think that who she is.
I've long said that movie needs to be told.
It should, and I hope to God that I'm able to do it.
And when I interviewed Octavia Spencer for Get On Up, I specifically asked her, and she said that's the role she wants to play.
Yeah.
She said, but go ahead.
Yeah. So what she did, what happened was Miss Hamer would not compromise. She wouldn't compromise. They all came to her and said, you need to take this deal. It's a good deal. And she said, no, I'm not taking this deal. I'm not going to take it. And what ended up happening was Adam Clayton Powell came to her and said to her, this is politics, baby. This is politics. You have to make these compromises. And she said to him, how many times have you been beaten? How many bales of cotton have you picked? And see, what she was able to do, she was able to put her life as a testimony of why that deal was unacceptable. They had a delegation that was all white men. That were the Dixiecrats. Right. They were absolutely illegitimate. Absolutely illegitimate.
And the other southern states
Democrats. They were Democrats.
Other southern states said, the other southern Democrats, they said, we will pull our delegations if you seat one black person.
Yes.
And there was a battle because you had those liberal Democrats like Humphrey in Minnesota who were fighting as well, and they had these going back and forth. But Southern Democrats held the power of those committees, and that was the issue there.
Yeah.
That people don't quite understand. And the thing is, that still resonates with us today, because when we talk about monuments, when you go to D.C. and when you go to the Russell Building, that is named after Richard Russell, the white supremacist senator from Georgia. I mean, one of the buildings where current U.S. senators sit. I tell people all the time, the Senate passed, I think it was 98-0, to make the desk of Jefferson Davis for the rest of American history be the desk of the senior senator from Mississippi. That's the desk they sit at. That was literally passed. If you Google it, if you Google Jefferson Davis desk and U.S. Senate. They actually have a page dedicated to the desk. And so they in essence, enshrined a monument to the greatest domestic terrorist in American history.
Yeah.
From Mississippi.
Yeah. I mean, I've written this piece about this, and it's just the truth. Mississippi, the United States of America is complicit in every crime that has happened, that has been instructed and accommodated by that flag. Everyone, Dylan, it has the blood of Dylan. All that blood that happened in Emmanuel is on the hands of this country, because it sat back and it still sits back and says nothing.
What's the next step? Because there are some who say, "Oh, you know, get this thing up. These white folks will never get this flag up."
So, I mean, I'm not the first one to fight this. I'm not the only one that's fighting it. It's been fought ever since they, put the flag up. And I don't care. That's not a reason enough for me to shut up. Because white folks ain't gonna change is not gonna stop me from speaking the truth. And I hope it won't stop you or anybody else that's
it's not gonna happen.
from speaking the truth. I mean, so in the face of that, you shut up. No, in the face of that, you speak louder.
What impact do you think that this Senate race, will have on this generation of black kids in Mississippi?
Well, I think I love the fact that Cindy Hyde-Smith said what she said. I love it because it gave her the opportunity. It gave us an opportunity for us to see that this idea of lynching ain't dead and a dead one. Because she said I would attend a public hanging. She didn't say I would have attended a public hanging. She said I would attend a public hanging. So which tells us that in her mind, public hangings are a very real and present thing. And we have had hangings and lynchings that are still happening in the state of Mississippi, that these police officers and law enforcement are doing, literally saying that they're doing visual autopsies on these bodies. What is a visual autopsy? And that's how they're determining that these hangings and these lynchings are suicides. So her saying what she said brings all of that into the national forefront. Then she gets on stage with Phil Bryant, who gets up there and accuses black women of genocide because we exercise our right to choose. So all this is doing is exposing these folks for who they are. And what I'm praying and what I'm hoping is that there will be a whole generation, young generation now, with kids who are going to these schools and elementary schools that have this flag, and parents of them that are saying, I don't want to be associated with this. This has to change.
When we also look at the issues affecting this state, earlier you said a culture of low expectations. When I talk to people, they go, yeah, it's Mississippi. It's Mississippi. What do you want to see this state look like?
Well, there's a historian, Joseph Crespino, who said, and he's a white historian, he's on the faculty at Emory, and he said that the United States is Mississippi writ large. So this notion that, Mississippi does not matter, does not figure into the national consciousness is a lie. It's a fallacy. As Mississippi goes, so goes this nation. What happened is folks slept on what happens in Mississippi, and therefore we have Donald Trump in office. This Antar, who you interviewed, one of the most beautiful things he ever said is that Mississippi is a petri dish from which Donald Trump was born. And if we turn away from this, then we turn away from the real problem that is rotting this culture. And it's not just rotting it. Let's just be real about it. It was built on it. This country is built on this.
Yes.
It's built on this.
It is in its DNA.
Yes, it is. So, if you want to ignore Mississippi, you want to continue to ignore what this country was built on, and I personally believe that as black folks, we have to realize why we're here. So when we say things like "I love this country," and say things that we're patriotic, what we're doing is we're saying we're loving our kidnappers. We were kidnapped and brought here. That's what the African American condition is in this country. We are folks who were kidnapped and brought here. So that's why everything we do culturally is a rejection of that. Because we didn't come here because we chose to. We came here because we were forced to. And that's also why it is a different conversation with immigrants, like Latin people. Like, and we're frustrated because they won't vote how we vote. But we were brought here in a different way. They came here because they thought it would give them hope.
Yeah, but also not just Latin immigrants, also African immigrants.
Yes, it's a different conversation.
Immigrants, people of color, people who are dark skinned, who are from Panama or who are from other countries. It is a different perspective.
It's a different perspective. If you come somewhere because you think it's a beacon of hope, you have a different way of seeing how you will behave and vote in this country, as opposed to us who realize it and see it for what it is from the inside. It's just a different perspective.
Which is also why I keep making the point about America moving towards becoming a nation majority people of color. That what really is freaking white Americans out is the fact that for us, we view the nation differently. The values are different. Which is why you saw the whole divide over Colin Kaepernick kneeling, because white Americans and a lot of black folks as well have been raised, no, this is America, it's the flag. That's hurting the military or the first responders. First of all, also I find it very interesting how all of a sudden we've now added the first responders in with the military. And so you go through all of that, and when the reality is, yes, we view this thing differently. When I was playing a video before we came on, when you asked me to stop playing it, of this black man who's being accosted by a police officer. Yeah. There's a U.S. flag that's on that cop's uniform. Yeah. He is making a decision under the authority of the United States and the color of the law with that badge and that gun. And so for us, yes, our experience drives how we view this nation.
Yes. Our experience, our means of getting here in the first place. We got here on boats where we were like underneath and stacked on top of each other. That affects our view of who we are and where we are in this country. It's a very particular, peculiar view that is shared by no one else in the world.
Well, it's sort of like when I used to tell people in the song "Glory," Common says freedom is like a religion to us. And that line just sticks out. And also for black folks, we had to fight for this thing. Yeah. I don't know of anything that we have gotten that was the result of you know what, this is right, this is fair, this is just. Y'all don't need to sue.
None of it.
Y'all don't need to go through all of no.
None of it. And so when you hear people say things like, this country has been so great to me. Really? Has this country been so great to you? Or have the people who've been fighting for you to live, not live in this country, but just fighting for your very existence, have they been good to you? I mean, everything that we count, that our moving around in the world, our having some sort of economic independence, has been fought in the streets. In the streets. It's not been given to us. It's happened despite that, despite this country's policies. Everything. I'm very clear about, who I owe my gratitude to. And it's not this country, it's to my ancestors.
As a person, so this is my final question. As a person sitting out there who says, Roland, I hear you, that's fine. I'm sorry. I see no reason to vote for Mike Espy. I see no reason to even vote at all. This is not going to impact my life. It's not going to change anything. It means nothing. What do you say to him? What do you say to him in that camera right there? What do you say to him? Besides that side you just gave him.
Long side. I think that selfishness is an awful thing. I earn my living a certain way. I'm not an immigrant. I'm not someone who's coming here in a caravan from South America. My family is not gonna. My niece and nephew are not gonna be put in cages. But I have a level of humanity that I would vote for. I would vote for someone who would make sure those things wouldn't happen to other people. And that's what is required of us as human beings right now on this planet, is selflessness. So vote selflessly and vote period, because you're not selfish.
All right, Anjou Ellis, always good to see you.
Always good to see you too, even though you be clowning me.
Yes, and they're not gonna kick us out.
I was worried for you. Like, y'all need to hurry up. They about to do something. They bringing out the tea up in here.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. That's what I do. We're glad you stopped by. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All the folks at Be Woke Vote appreciate it as well. I want to thank all of you for watching. Don't forget, we want you to share this video with all of your friends. Great conversation, great history, great knowledge as well. And don't forget, November 27th is when you will see the runoff election between Mike Espy and Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. A huge debate taking place tonight. And we're going to be trying to share that live stream on our platforms as well, so you can see it. And don't forget, anybody you know in Mississippi, friends, folks you went to college with, family, sorority sisters, fraternity brothers, does not matter. Pick up the phone, call them, text them, tweet them, hit them on Facebook, hit them on Snapchat, and hell, they got MySpace, hit them there as well, and let them know that they must vote because it matters. As I said yesterday, and this really is important, folks. And it's actually hard for me when I visit these places. It was to be at the home of Medgar Evers and to literally stand in that driveway where he was gunned down June 12, 1953. And I make this point and I said he gave his life. And somebody said, no, Roland, he didn't give his life. He was assassinated. No, that's not true. Medgar Evers knew exactly what he was doing. Medgar Evers knew that he had a bullseye on his back. Fighting for civil rights when he came back to Jackson, Mississippi after fighting for America. He was an Army veteran. No, he gave his life. There are people who gave their lives to the movement. There are wives who gave their husbands to the movement because they were on the road, they were gone. There were children who gave their lives to the movement. Do y'all understand that Van Evers, the son of Medgar Evers, had no recollections of his dad. He was born in 1960. Dad was killed in 63. The first time, he came face to face with his dad when the autopsy was done, when Medgar Evers' body was exhumed. And it was the forensic pathologist, his name is escaping me right now, who actually invited Van to the autopsy. And talk about amazing. The body was so well preserved, it looked nearly the same as it did the day he was actually buried. No, that family gave up their father, their husband, for this movement. And so when you don't vote, when you say it doesn't matter, yeah, don't give me all your black consciousness stuff. Don't give me all of that stuff where you talk about black consciousness and our ancestors. No, those folks literally died fighting for the right to vote. And not a single one of us has any excuse for us not to actually use that right, to wield that power at the ballot box, and damn sure not in this state of all states who understand how critically important voting is. For all the folks at Be Woke Vote and Roland Martin Unfiltered, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. We are going to be, folks, so we're going to take a break. We are going to be live streaming this prayer event as well, and so we want you to stay tuned for that. And so, again, spread the word, and also do me a favor. One, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin, and also join our Bring the Funk fan club, because, folks, your donations actually pay for this. And I want y'all to understand, and matter of fact, give me a shot, give me a wide shot. Y'all, ain't no other national media here. All other black websites, they're not here. All the other black, first of all, we know that none of the black cable networks got any news whatsoever. They're not here. This matters, having an independent news source covering these type of events, bringing you the perspective, because if we don't tell our story, just like those two museums, somebody else will control the narrative. And so go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com to join our fan club. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch, folks, and I'll see you in a bit.
Thank
Peace.
you, Roland.
Thank you, Angelo. With the right
For
colors,
real.
black and gold.
See, I knew.
You got
I
the
was
right,
like,
got the right
see,
colors.
I was hoping you
got the
wouldn't.
right colors.
I was hoping you
You got the right colors. It's an alpha thing. Who's your daddy? Alpha.
Are you kidding me?
You a Delta.
Anyway.
Who's your daddy? Matter of fact, I got some brothers here. Hold on, don't cut yet. Come on. All right, so of course, you know, we got our voting initiative. And so, you know, we got the, of course, got the sign here, your vote counts. So we got to do that to all the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha. So we certainly appreciate that as well. And so, again, Panhandle members, they're out there driving folks to the polls. Let's make this thing happen. And again, it was an alpha, Robert Smith, who made this possible for us to be here with Be Woke Vote. So we appreciate that. Come on, Angela, what's an alpha thing? Don't hate,
Listen,
Angela.
hey, we on the same side. I don't care. It's all good.
Right.
It's all good.
All right, then. All right, folks, we got to go. We're going to get ready for the prayer rally. We'll see y'all in a bit.